Welcome to Yakety Mac, my friends. Today I am rocking version 2 of my trolling motor modification for an Old Town PDL. I'm going to show you how I did it, explain to you why I did a version 2, and what is better about it than the original. And then we're going to do some on-the-water demonstration. I'll show you speed, agility, how I deploy it, how I stow it. We'll talk about why I went with the specific motor that I went with. So let's get started, guys. First of all, the concept between version 1 and version 2 is exactly the same. I started with a blank insert plate here for the floor where the PDL unit normally goes. Now, I've seen guys make their own. They'll do a template and they'll make this out of wood, or they'll use cutting board or something. I ordered this from Navarre Kayak Fishing. It's a nice solid piece of plastic, got a rubber gasket on it. It was like 75 bucks to do so. And so what I did is I simply cut a hole here where I wanted the motor to go through. I cut an 1.25 inch diameter hole. The Minn Kota trolling motor shafts are about 1 1/8 inches. Then, guys, what I did is that I got a brand new 30-pound thrust, 30-inch shaft Minn Kota trolling motor. This is an Enduro. Now, I'll explain here when we're doing the demonstration portion of this why that was important to me to go with that 30-inch shaft. So then I simply take the head off of the trolling motor, disconnect the switch. Don't let that intimidate you. It is very easy to do. All the wires are color coded, and of course there are the words on the switch that tells you which wire goes where. Very easy to do, and I think there's like 6 or 7 bolts that hold the head on. So after removing the head, I simply slide the shaft of the motor, take all the accessories with it off, slide the shaft of the motor up through the insert plate, and then reattach the head as well as some of the accessories on there. So you'll see here in version 1, one of the things that you have to be able to do is secure the motor to the top side of this insert plate. And how I decided to do that, what I came up with for version 1, was to get this universal transom mount and use the transom clamp that comes with the motor. Now, guys, this worked out just fine. No problems with it at all, other than the fact that it was a little bulky down here in the cockpit. But as far as operation goes, there was nothing wrong. It bugged me because shortly after I did it, I realized that there was a better option, one that could be easier explained to you, one that would take up less space, would be a little bit lighter, definitely have a smaller footprint, and actually provide a little bit more stability for the motor. And so that's where you get what you see right here. And that, guys, is a very simple pontoon boat mount from Minn Kota. If you will put in your browser Minn Kota pontoon trolling motor mount, this is what will pop up. And it's like $60. And so obviously a lot smaller footprint and a lot easier of a design. So let me show it to you a little bit better. I'll grab the camera here. It's quite foggy and humid out this morning, so let's hope the lens hasn't fogged up on me. All right, let me show you what it looks like here. So you can see I've got a lot more. I don't have that whole clamp apparatus and everything right here. It's a lot cleaner for me, and it works out very nicely. And then one of the things that I will say from a cautionary perspective is that you will not be able to put the hole dead center of this plate because these bolts here will interfere with this lip underneath. It will have to be offset. I forget the measurement of this. If you really need to know, leave me a comment and I'll get that measurement for you. I think it was something like 3/4 inch maybe from the side here in order to give these bolts clearance. That little bit of offset does not at all affect the performance of this motor. As far as wiring to the battery, there's several ways you could do it. I decided to go through the hull, and that's a Yak Attack through hull kit right there. And I've got a quick disconnect system that I use. I ran the wires through the hull of the kayak And then out the back, let me see how I can show that to you there, in the tank well area. And then of course I've got my battery sitting right there. So this is an extremely simple process. Trust me, if I can do it, it's simple. Not complicated at all. Now, I mentioned earlier why the 30-inch shaft was important to me. It's important because of where it sits right here without having to do any sort of cutting down of the shaft or anything. The motor is able to sit down under the water like it should so that you get good propulsion without churning a lot of water. And then the head is right here, waist high. This is important because it really allows you a complete range of motion here. You see how I'm doing this right here. It allows you a great range of motion to be able to turn this kayak. And we're going to do that here in a moment where I show you just how agile this thing is. If you cut the shaft down or you go with a shorter shaft, now you start getting down closer to the gunnel. And what you're going to have there is you're going to have less range of motion, or your legs are going to be in the way and you're going to have to move them. And when you're able to sit here up here and do a 360 just by doing this, that is really nice. And you'll lose a little bit of that if you get the head of this motor down too close to your gunnels. When I first installed this, I really thought I was going to be steering with the rudder and I just needed something to go forward and reverse. Until I got this out and actually realized just how responsive it is steering with the trolling motor. Let me give you an example. And I'll tell you, using the rudder in conjunction with this, it's phenomenal. Let me show you. We're going to do a quick 360, yeah. Look at this. You want to talk about maneuvering in tight spaces. And this is why I think the 30-inch shaft is important, to allow you the freedom to do that right there. Now, of course, I use that in conjunction with the rudder so we could get really tight, but you don't even need to do that. 90% of the time, I'm just leaving the rudder in the straight position and steering with the trolling motor. Let's talk speed. So right now, I am on speed 3 on calm, flat water, a little bit of current pulling out. And I am doing 1.8 miles an hour. It's not setting the world on fire by any means. There we go. Now that we're starting to get a little momentum, we're at 2.2. All right, let's kick it up to speed 5. All right, got a nice little water slosh going on the front right there, and we are at 3.6 miles an hour. So 3.6 miles an hour, again, you're not competing with a Ranger. But it moves this kayak along just fine. And 30-pound thrust, these kayaks are 100 and some pounds, and then depending on your gear and they're not extremely heavy, right? So a 30-pound thrust is going to move you along just fine, and that won't have anything to do with your speed. That's just, your initial burst. So you're not going to have any problems with that at all. So the 30-inch shaft, important. I'm not having to reach down to maneuver the head. I'm not having to move my legs. Speed is acceptable for sure. It saves you on the legs. I don't use this all the time, depending on my situation. Sometimes I bring my pedal unit along. Sometimes I'll use the trolling motor like today. Just depending on where I'm going in the situation that I am going to be in. The unit, everything together, excluding the battery, you're going to spend about $300. And the inspiration for this was really the 106 MK, the Old Town 106 powered by Minn Kota. I thought, well, a little trolling motor in the pod right there, why can't I just do that myself? Well, you can, guys. And for about $300, again, excluding the battery, I have a battery that I use on another vessel. So I didn't have to go out and buy a special battery. The one thing I will say is make sure that your weight distribution, first few times I used this, I thought, man, this is a little slower than I expected. And I realized as I went on, the reason for that is that with all the gear and everything that I had back here, including a 100 amp hour lithium battery, and then I never moved my seat. So my seat was still kind of back. So, for extending my legs when I pedal, well, I never moved that. And so what I didn't realize at the time is that the boat was actually kind of sitting like this. it wasn't level in the water like it's designed to be. So when I removed the pedals, I moved my seat up so I can put my feet up here on this area here where the front of the kayak is at. I can put my feet there, and I've shifted some of the weight forward, so I've leveled out that boat some, and it's actually helped with speed and handling in the water since I'm not sitting like this right here. So there it is, guys, version 2. Version 3 was the idea of possibly cutting down the shaft, but I've opted not to do that. This right here is just too advantageous. I really think the 30-inch shaft is the way to go. I guess if I were to say what is the ideal shaft length, probably somewhere around 27 inches, but is the hassle worth those 3 inches? I'm going to say no. I know Newport makes a little trolling motor that's 24 inches. You know, that might be doable, but I foresee myself having to move my legs to turn the head in order to do that. So I am really sold on the 30-inch shaft. Let me know if you've got any questions at all, guys. Leave them down in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them for you. And again, if you need to know how much I drilled that hole over, let me know that, and I'll get a measurement on there for you. I'm going to do a little bit of fishing today. Hopefully you'll hang out with me and see if I can catch any bass. We had a front come through yesterday, so I'm not sure if it's going to shut them down or not. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm out here, right? Appreciate you watching, guys. Let's go catch some fishes. Well, y'all, that's going to do it for me today. No bass, but I did catch a bowfin, so at least I don't have skunk on the boat. That's always a good thing. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I will answer anything that I can. This is a good system. I don't use it all the time, but it does have its place. And I'm getting ready, matter of fact, getting ready to motor back to the boat ramp on speed 5. So do me a favor if you would. I hope you'll consider subscribing. I'm about to procure a new fishing kayak, and I can't wait to share that with everyone and show everyone which one I chose and why I chose it. So if you're interested at all, make sure you subscribe so you can see that when it drops here before too long. And then do me a favor if you would, hit that thumbs up, that like button, leave me a comment. That would sure be appreciated. And then share this video if you are so inclined. And make sure you do yourself a favor, guys. No matter what you got going on, no matter how busy life gets, always make sure you take some time to get outside and play.